Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Big news this week is the Saints adding Derek Carr. The maybe less heralded news is that the Saints have added former Seahawks safety Ugo Amadi. So this news did break while we were on air Tuesday, but I did a little more digging on it today, and it's I kind of am intrigued by the move. A little bit of background. So Ugo Amadi was a four-star cornerback out of Nashville who went to Oregon and played a ton of football for the Ducks. He played 51 games with 34 starts during his time there in Eugene. Now, he signed as a corner, played corner, but in his time in the NFL, he was drafted by the Seahawks, and then was traded to Philly, and then traded to Tennessee, and then ultimately released by Tennessee and picked up by the Chiefs. So he was on the Chiefs practice squad when they won the Super Bowl this year. But you have a guy who during his NFL career has played corner, safety, and has been a really good special teamer. So when you look at what the Saints are likely doing here, at the safety spot, they've got Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May, their starters on the roster. Remember, they signed Smoke Monday last year, who unfortunately suffered an injury, and now Amadi. So that's your four safeties that you have under contract. The guys that the Saints had at that position a year ago, the other guys are all unrestricted free agents. That's P.J. Williams, that's Daniel Sorensen, that's Justin Evans. So all those guys are unrestricted free agents. So really you're kind of looking at, okay, well, who fits that mold of what Amadi can provide? A safety with corner cover skills that can also help on special teams. Well, that's kind of all three guys. And Justin Evans, former second-round pick at Tampa, has been a really good special teams player throughout his career. Maybe that's a spot where they're just looking to get younger at that position. Marcus Robertson, the new defensive backs coach, Chris Richard, the co-DC, we know has left the Saints. So Marcus Robertson coming in as the new secondaries coach. Is this something where it's a guy that he sort of pinpointed and liked and wanted to bring in the secondary? There's no connection there with Amadi and Robertson in their past. Robertson had been with the Arizona Cardinals the last 4 years. But, you're starting to get some new blood there in the secondary. And honestly, I like the Saints secondary already. Maybe the numbers are skewed a bit because the run defense was so bad, but the Saints secondary last year was second in the NFL in passing yards allowed. So second in the NFL in pass defense last year, behind only Philadelphia. So your secondary, and remember, Marshawn Lattimore missed 10 games last year. Paulson Adebo, who was just the star of training camp, then suffered the injury and really struggled throughout the year to get back fully healthy. So with an injured Adebo and Lattimore missing 10 games, you were still second in the NFL in passing yards allowed. A big part of that was the emergence of Alontae Taylor and a lot of guys stepping up. And yes, I do understand because you were so bad in the run game, a lot of teams ran the ball successfully against you, and when you were losing, teams weren't passing against you late in the game. So some of that is skewed a bit, but the numbers are still what they are. I mean, you played a 17-game schedule and were second in the NFL in passing yards allowed with your two best corners missing a chunk of the season. So I like the Saints secondary. That's not an issue. That's not an area, I should say, where you go into this offseason thinking they've really got to start to upgrade there. You got two corners and nickel that you really like. You got your starting safeties both back. Hopefully they stay healthy this year, and you had a great season out of both Mathieu and May. And then you start to add really nice depth pieces like Ugo Amadi. That's not a guy that you'd expect to start, but if he can help you on special teams, he's a safety with cover skills. You can play him in the nickel. You can play him in the slot. You got a versatile piece there in your secondary. So I do like it. I think the big question, the really big question for the Saints defensively this offseason is that defensive line. Like we've talked about. I mean, that's the spot where you got to make a decision. David Onyemata is a free agent. Are you bringing him back? Do you go sign another defensive line free agent? We've seen Jerron Reed as a guy who I think ESPN has projected would be a great signee for the New Orleans Saints. Do they address defensive tackle in the draft? Brian Bresee out of Clemson is who Todd McShay mocked most recently to New Orleans at 29. So that defensive line is going to be the spot they have to address. Safety, it feels like you're just supplementing, and they did that on Tuesday, adding Ugo Amadi. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.